Okay, so now we're up to part 3, and I'm going to go through the next two tabs in our toolbar, and also the design tab. So the next tab we have here is the settings. So you'll need to actually go through all of these and just input all of your data. You'll have all your data for these. The site address, if your designer's already set it up for you to be live, then that will already be live. This one isn't at the moment. Your SEO for Google. Now this SEO part here is actually for the whole website. So it's really important to have this one, but you also, don't forget, have SEO for settings for each page. Just by going to the pages and clicking that little tab. And so these will be specific to each page. Make sure that your titles and description include very specific keywords or key phrases that have to do with that particular page and your particular product or service that you sell. Don't just add in keywords for the sake of it if they have nothing to do with the content of your website, because you'll get demerit points basically, and you won't rank as high as you'd like to in Google. So always just be very truthful and just think about, before you even type the title and description, maybe write yourself a list of key phrases and see if you can, name your pages that, as well as, putting the page title and the description using as many keywords as you can while still making sense. They have to make sense. Okay, going back to the cog here. You can choose to put a mobile version of your website, unless you have a specific website that really needs a mobile version. I wouldn't worry about it, because most iPhones and smartphones these days are able to actually view the Wix websites just as they are, and they're a lot neater and easier to navigate through when they're the actual site rather than a mobile site. It's all done in HTML5, which means that most iPhones, even the older iPhones, can actually still see all this perfectly fine. Okay, your contact information, you'll need to be able to put this in, so just upload your logo, add all that. You can also add in all of your social addresses and your Facebook ones. You can also plug in your Google Analytics ID, as long as you've got not a free Wix website but a paid one. So if you don't know what Google Analytics is, it's basically how to track who comes to your site, where do they come from, how long are they staying on your site, what are they clicking on, where do they come from, all that type of information. And it's really important to actually track this information right from the very start of, just before your website goes live. And do also be aware that when you're setting up your Google ID and attaching it to your website, it can take a couple of days to start gathering information. So you always want to set that up before you go live. If you're not sure about any of this, just ask your designer and they can talk you through it. And the last thing that we've got on here is you can add a favicon. Now a favicon is just this little image that's on the tabs that we've got here. So you used to have to create an actual what's called a favicon file, which was an ICO file, but Wix has actually simplified this process, and you can actually just upload an image. And obviously we can't do it on here because we haven't upgraded to be the paid plan yet, but it's very simple to do if your designer hasn't done it for you. Okay, so that's all the settings tab. The next thing we're going to go to is the app market. So any website builder that's sort of like an online, templated system, you'll be able to actually add apps in. So there's loads of different apps that you can plug in, and any that aren't in here, you can usually plug them in by using the HTML edition. So if I went to plus and then I went to apps in here and used HTML, so that basically means that you can kind of go in and actually embed code within your website to get an outside app that Wix doesn't already have on their platform available for you. If you don't understand any of that, just ask your designer. So I'm just going to go through a few of these apps. A lot of them are just crap ones that you won't need and you really shouldn't put on. But there are some really useful ones. So there's things like social feeds. So if you wanted to put a feed of your Facebook page coming up on your homepage, then you can do that using one of these. There is email marketing plugins, which is really handy. Webstats, which is sometimes handy. Booking systems, and all of these you usually find like a free version and a premium version. The free version will just be the basic kind of set limits on things, and there'll be advertising on it, whereas the premiums can range from say $2 US a month to $20 US a month usually, but often the free ones are just completely fine. You can add things like a chat forum if you have a community. You can add a chat agent if you want to be able to talk to people that are visiting your website. More booking system, another live chat system. You can add sort of outside e-commerce sites, but you don't really need to when Wix has its own incorporated online store system. You can add a Pinterest feed. You can add another appointment scheduler. Different sorts of contact forms. Again, there's another community forum, another email marketing one. I always recommend using MailChimp just because it's so easy to use, and it's got quite a good free base system. More feeds, more booking systems. If you want to show a 360-degree view of a product, that one's actually quite good. If you want to, where are some other good ones? You can add your blogger feed in if you've got a Google Blogger account. If you want to be able to share files, you can have access to your Google Drive right on your website. The FAQ you can add quite easily. And then these are ones that were actually already in the add tab as well. So the FAQ, the member login, the news, the contact form, they're actually addable via just the add tab as well. So these are kind of the Wix ones. And then that's actually the same as that HTML one that I showed you in the Plus tab as well. And the Google Maps and the PayPal button, that's all exactly the same as what's in the Plus one. So they are doubled up a little bit, some of these ones. And all these ones are doubled up, that's also in the Plus as well. Yeah, so that's just what apps are. So they're just different things that you can plug in to add extra functionality to your website. And these get added, new ones get added all the time. So it is good to just kind of check every now and again. You'll get emails from Wix saying, oh, we've just added these new apps to the app market, go and take a look. So I always like to read those emails and sort of see, okay, what functionality can I add to the next website that I build, or you know, that I can add to a previous website that I've built that would be really handy for them. Okay, all right, so that's about all the apps. And the last one I'm going to show you is design. So this one actually applies to your whole website. Now, if you've had a designer specifically set up your Wix website for you, they will have gone in and chosen specific sort of backgrounds and colors and fonts for you to try and match in with your branding. Now, just be aware that if you make changes within here, it's not always easy to take it back to the original. So say, for example, on the colors, if you were to just go in and test some of these colors, you can't actually go back and just grab the custom color palette that your designer may have set up for you. So it's just be aware that if you do want to play with these, just be very, very careful that you can't just necessarily play with them and get them back to what they were originally. The background, you can though go and have a little play. So obviously there's plain colors and you know, different, you know, kind of groovy different backgrounds and things. If you chose something like this and you wanted to only show that at the sides and that, you could actually change the page, the center pages to all have a white background so that you don't see all this coming through. But yeah, and again, you can upload your own image. You can change the actual color. Let me just go back to background. It's only got sort of 6 colors here, but you can actually choose any color. So if you choose one and then go customize, you can actually go down and just choose any color in the rainbow. Okay, very, very easy. But if we want to put our own image in, I'm just going to go back and put that original image that I had in at the start. You can upload a new one though. So just double click to add in that background. Okay, and you can also, you know, tile it, scale it, all that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to design. I'm going to go to fonts. Now, again, if you click on these to have a little look, you can't really get back to your customized fonts unless you set them up yourself and you know what they are. So don't play with this unless you're prepared to change everything and not know how to get back. Okay. One thing that I will tell you about, if we go into the customized fonts, which is if somebody set it up for you, they'll have set up specific ones. The main one that you want to make sure is always your page titles is actually called title. And there's another one that's called page titles, but you don't want to set your page titles, which is these bits here, to be page title. You actually want to set them as title. And that's because it's a H1. And if you know anything about SEO, you know that Google goes and has a look at your H1s to see what keywords are in there. So the keywords are usually related to your page name. So, and the reason I know that is because when I go here, instead of page title being a H1, it's actually title that's a H1. So I'm sure I've just completely confused you by saying all that, but just be sure that the top one is always going to be the font that you've chosen to apply to your page titles. Okay? And that's about it. Always remember to, you know, once you do a little bit of work, just click save. And then once you're happy with everything, click save again and then publish to make it live on your website. And this is our live website here. And I can click through and have a little look. I don't need to. There we go, just refresh my page here. Sorry, doing something funny. Or it's telling me that it's not published. Anyway, so yeah, that's the basic general gist of Wix. As I said, just click, point, double click, drag. Everything is super, super easy. And there is also tutorials on the Wix website from Wix that talk you through everything as well. But if you've had a designer set it up, and if you're trying to do something and it's just, you just don't quite understand, just ring them and just say, okay, can you just explain to me how to do this bit? And they will know how to do every single tiny little bit the really, really easy way. So they'll happily talk you through it for free, I'm sure, like I do. Okay, thanks a lot.